annoyed or just ignoring things and thinking my wife should be able to do that, I just put my computer to sleep mode and decided to get the groceries myself. It may sound like a little thing, but the sermon wasn't done. And for those of you who have preached before, you know you need all the time you can get. But even in that, you have to surrender. And I have to surrender that attitude that I may have had in being annoyed or thinking, this is more important than anything. So all the time in our lives, there's going to be that question. Who is driving your life? And to answer that question, you have actually three options. First option, you can, if you want, live a rebellious heart towards God. Live the way you want. You say, God, this is my car, and my life, and my keys, and this is my way. And I want nothing to do with you. I will live the way I want to live, and you can stay out of my life. And I'm not going to walk or talk with you. I'm not even going to believe in you. So you can live with a rebellious heart if you want to. Second option, you can live with a divided heart. Jesus is in the car, but you're the one driving. I'll keep this area of my life, this lifestyle, this relationship under my control. I will hold on to this grudge against certain people. I will enjoy the pleasure I get from this habit. God, I know you want full surrender, but I don't totally trust you in everything. But I think you should know this. If you live with a divided heart, it's a miserable way to live. It is not freedom. It is not living. A divided heart will prevent you from the life and freedom that is given to a surrendered heart. If you keep Jesus out of the driver's seat, it will trouble you on the inside. And that's because only one thing gives real peace and real life, and that is a heart that is surrendered towards God. I'll turn my life and my will, God, over to you, and even if there's a cost, I will do that. So you lose a life, but you gain a life, and the life you gain is much better than the life that you will lose. It turns out that nothing you lose is going to be worth keeping anyway. The Apostle Paul, he said, I have been crucified with Christ. And those aren't my words, those are Paul's words. What he's saying is that his old self, his self-centered desires, his sins have been crucified. And God, with your help through Jesus, I'm going to die to all of that as best as I can, because I no longer live. The old self no longer lives, but it is Christ that lives in me. So the question is, who is in the driver's seat of your life? Have you fully surrendered your life to Jesus? And this is something Jesus will keep asking. In the Bible, there's this woman caught in adultery, and Jesus says, I don't condemn you. Now go and sin no more. Surrender your sexuality, your habits, what you look at, your thoughts and actions. If you need help with that, you do whatever it takes and surrender. A lot of times it's about money. A rich young ruler comes to Jesus, and Jesus knows this is a place he needs to surrender. So he tells him, I want you to surrender your wallet to me. And he didn't do it. However, someone else named Zacchaeus volunteers exactly half of everything he owned. And he said, I'm going to give to the poor. I'm going to pay back everybody that I have cheated 4 times over. Or perhaps maybe, it's about relationships. Has anybody here ever tried to control another person? Say, Lord God, I give up control of that other person. I give up control over my future. I give up having my own way. And maybe it's a grudge, or an attitude, a habit, or maybe it's even a job. If you struggle with this, Jesus will help you because he understands your struggle. Remember, it is this week that he knelt down in the garden. The reason we have Easter this week is that Jesus knelt down in this garden and said, God, I don't want this. I don't want the cross. I don't want the burden or the shame or the pain. But it is not my will, but your will be done. And then Jesus gave the key to God. Maybe you have surrendered your life to God, but there's some area that you're holding on to. Maybe you have never said to God, God, it's not just that I believe in you, but I want to drive. I want you to drive, actually. That's why I want to surrender my life to you. I don't want to be in control anymore. Maybe you want to say to Him, Lord, my time, my money, my will, my future, and my desires, I want to hand them over to you. I want to surrender to you. I want you to be my leader. So Jesus, take the keys. Jesus, take the wheel. And I think for those in the combo, that's a song, right? Yeah. Maybe to your best awareness, you have done that before, but God is speaking to you today. And you know it. Maybe He is. Maybe it's a habit. Maybe it's an attitude or a grudge. Maybe it's around money or possessions. And in your spirit, you've been, that's something you've been holding on to. Would you surrender that? Would you let that go? This Palm Sunday is the day to do that. Do you know that Palm Sunday is a sneak preview of what it says in the book of Revelations, chapter 7, verses 9 to 10. I'll go through this last passage. It says, After this I looked, and there before me was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people, and language. Standing before the throne and before the Lamb, they were wearing white robes and were holding palm branches in their hands. And they cried out in a loud voice, Salvation belongs to our God, who sits on the throne, and to the Lamb. That's like, Palm Sunday is a sneak preview of what's coming. When all is said and done, someday, we, together with people from every nation, every culture, will be holding palm branches together as we surrender ourselves in worship to God. I find that to be a good picture of what it will be like. That is what Palm Sunday is really ultimately pointing to. So why wait? Turn over your keys to God as people bought by the blood of the Lamb.